Hello and welcome to vlog number 11, featuring my new red intro sequence. I hope you like it. It's always exciting starting a new project. The P-38 Lightning is a good looking aircraft from any angle, and is one I've wanted to sculpt for a long time. But first I have to complete all the orders I've taken for Shermans and aircraft. The initial orders are now complete, and I'm about to start on a second batch, and a whole host of other aircraft I have orders for. I also had to make a cake for someone's 11th birthday. Winston loved it almost as much as his new box. Let's get back to the P-38. I start by scanning the most complete and accurate drawings I can find. These are then cleaned up in Photoshop and checked for dimensional accuracy. I'll then use them to create a hard copy set of plans. This makes it a lot easier to work out how best to break down the P-38 for sculpting and production. The plans also form a basis for designing the decals and the profile drawings of the P-38s. This is done in Corel Draw and Photoshop. The plans are then imported into my design software to create the 3D model of the P-38. The 3-view drawings and sections allow me to accurately generate the correct profiles for the fuselage, booms and wings. The detailed parts such as the undercarriage and turbo superchargers are further detailed from reference photos. The completed 3D model can then be used to produce these photorealistic rendered images, which make a good final check of the overall look of the P-38. My next stage is to work out how I'm going to break down the P-38 for 3D printing and mould making. This is a mock-up of the main mould of the P-38. The main wing will be separate from the booms and tail, as will the nose and cockpit floor. The wing is too big for my resin printer, so I'll print the larger parts on my Ultimaker in ABS. All of the smaller parts will be printed on the resin printer, which will do justice to the detail. The turbo superchargers and undercarriage are prepped in the slicer software and ready for 3D printing. They would certainly be a challenge to recreate on the Ultimaker, and even more of a nightmare by hand, which is what I used to do. And here are the results of my resin printing. I originally printed the props as per the 3D model. They came out perfectly, but too thin for casting. So I've printed them thicker, and will use them to make cold cure moulds and metal masters, which I'll rework by hand. I have to convert some of the other parts to metal masters anyway, so it's no hardship. The nacelle variants need duplicating and detailing, which is pretty straightforward with cold cure moulds. My main success was with the undercarriage. The detail is excellent, everything I hoped for. Once cleaned up, they'll go straight off to the bronze casters. They normally take about 3 weeks to make the moulds and cast the parts using the lost wax process. I'm planning to make metal masters of the turbo superchargers and add them to the ABS wingmaster. It should work out fine, I think. I've also 3D printed a couple of anatomically correct figures. These blanks will be cast from cold cure moulds and form the basis to sculpt future 1:72 scale figures. This should speed up figure sculpting and help me achieve a more consistent result. I prepared the main cockpit and wing section for 3D printing in Cura, my Ultimaker slicer software. As you can see, there'll be a fair bit of support material to remove. And here are the parts in ABS. At last I have something physical I can get to work on. They are a bit blobby due to over-extrusion, but it does make the parts solid and without voids, which is crucial. You can clearly see the layer lines here. Each layer is 0.1mm high. I used a 0.4mm nozzle, which is a standard size. I deliberately printed these parts thicker to allow for filing out these lines, so everything should come out spot on. It looks a lot worse than it actually is. Now, let's remove these ABS parts from the support material. This should be pretty straightforward. I've had a tentative prod with the pliers to remove the support material, but no luck, so I've decided to use a tile cutting bit in the Dremel. Sorry about the camera work, at this stage things are starting to go a little pear-shaped. I was more concerned about getting the support material off than framing the perfect camera angle. I'm kind of winging it. The friction from the cutter is melting the ABS, which is getting wrapped around the bit. I wasn't exactly in a position to stop and start filming again. This was a one-take deal. I'm always impressed by the YouTubers who manage to film themselves building or painting something on an immaculate workbench and make such amazing models without anything going wrong. At least I've got a blue cutting mat, so that's a start. I'm sure this will turn out fine, as long as things don't get too melty. After all, how bad can it get? So, with the support material successfully removed from the wing, I moved on to the booms and tail. This time I used a slitting disc. You know, the exploding ones. In hindsight, maybe this would have been a more sensible option for the wing. I've taken the biggest file I have to the underside of the wing, which has really improved things. I know it looks a mess, but trust me, it'll be fine. You'll see in the next episode. Well, I'm calling that a success, all thanks to the modern miracle that is 3D printing. I've also been working on the undercarriage parts, getting them ready for bronze casting. They needed some cleaning up and a little milliput here and there, but the resin 3D prints are certainly good enough to be used as masters. By the next episode, I'll have been working full-time on the P-38 and have it in production, so make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel to see the end result. I hope you enjoyed my vlog. If you did, hit the like button. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching.